Hello and welcome. My name is Irina. I'm from the revolutionary Komsomol RKSM, and I'm very glad that we have an important guest today. It's Samia.
Samia
Uh,
Kalash.
Nice to meet you. Is there something you would like to tell us about the party that you are a member of and whatever else you find important?
Yeah, I'm a member of Palestinian people youth, and like we are Palestinian that in Syria, mostly in Syria. Uh, well, I don't know, like you know, uh, I don't know how to tell you a lot about like what we do, but like we're trying to advocate about Palestinian and the Palestinian cause in everywhere, especially in Syria.
I see. Okay, good. Well, the reason why we meet today is obvious. It's because of the war that's happening right now between Israel and Palestine. And we both know that this conflict didn't just start a week ago, it's much
Yeah.
older. So, could I ask you to tell us a bit more about the history of this conflict?
Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank you and to salute you and everyone who want to seek the truth. You know, like because we live today in a post-truth reality, post-truth world. You know, facts don't really matter. Truth don't really matter. What matters is false emotion, personal feelings, and targeted propaganda. And we see evidence of that on a daily basis. You know that. So today, I'm not going to appeal to emotion. I could, but today I want to focus on a fact. I want to appeal to common sense and to portray and to face the ugly truth.
Hmm.
That's what we say today. Uh, so I'm glad I'm talking to you because you, from all people, know how to to fight for your rights and be portrayed like the bad guy. You know what I mean? Now, in this meeting, I would like to discuss four main points that are essential to understand in order to get to the core of what is really happening today. Uh, the one issue is the root of the cause: Israeli crimes against Palestinian. What is happening today, and why we are here? Why is it so important to talk about this? And why we need people like you to understand what's going on and what we're facing on daily basis. The root of the cause, aka Palestine-Israeli conflict. Personally, I don't like to call it conflict because it's give the impression that it's a strife between two opposite parties that are equal in rights, equipment, power, and international support,
Hmm.
which is not the case. It is a country occupied by a group of fascist Zionists um, who has the support of the largest countries in the world, and this is simply because they have interest in the region. This is the plainest, bravest simplification. They lied when they say this is a country without people and it's belonged to them. Till this day, they couldn't give sufficient evidence that proves their claim because purely it's not true. But it doesn't matter because the word is standing with them. And here come the rule of targeted propaganda, led by imperialist government supporting falsehood through several points. One, linking Palestinian person and Arab in general to terrorism, characterizing resistance movement, which is human rights, as a terrorist movement and a crime against humanity. And three, making any criticism of Israel an anti-Semitic. So when you create a stereotype about a group of people and connect it with such horrible thing like terrorism, the idea of getting out of these people would not be necessarily a bad thing, right? Especially when even addressing the oppressing group and their acts is considered widely a taboo. You can detect that by the language of the Israeli defense minister when he said, "We are fighting animals, human." You heard him, right?
Yes, of course, I heard
Yeah,
him.
yeah, and yet no one held him accountable. This is This brings us to the point of Israeli crimes against Palestinians and why the world is silent about it. Since 1937, Israeli committed more than 120 massacres against Palestinians. About 13,000 were murdered and thousands were injured. To mention, but not to limit it, the most brutal massacres, 17 massacres in Haifa between 1937 and 1948, resulting in more than 700 murders and 700 wounded. 8 massacres in journalism between 1938 and 1948, resulting in 120 murders and 150 wounded.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. I just wanted to point out that this time space that we are talking about is even before the creation of the state of Israel.
Yeah, exactly. This is even before creation of Israel, before and during. So now in Deir Yassin alone, and this is a small village in West occupied Jerusalem, Israeli killed at least 360 Palestinians, including women and children. 100 were injured. Between now, if you move to the 2000, between 2000 and 2005, 30 massacres were committed, 400 were killed. In Jenin and its camp alone, in 2002, they killed 500, including women and children, and 100 were injured. The Israeli attack on Gaza Strip between 2008 and 2022, I can list them, but let's just say that more than 4,000 Palestinians were killed and more than 20,000 were injured. There are other massacres, but the number of murders are not yet known and are estimated at dozens and maybe hundreds. Those are not just numbers, those are human beings. Again, I'm not trying to appeal to emotion, but can you imagine the crisis? This is even before starting to explain the arrest of Palestinians. This is only the killing of people, not just arresting them. There are more than a million Palestinians, including thousands of children, have been captured since 1967. The number of Palestinian prisoners in Israeli prison now reach more than 5,000, including 39 women, 170 minor children, and 1,030 who are administratively detention. This means they are captured but have no charge. Any army man can walk in the street, capture a guy, arrest a guy, and that's it. More than 8 million have been forcibly, 560 of them are facing life sentence. Now, to talk about forced displacement, more than 7 million are in internal displacement, which means they are in Palestine, but were forced to leave their home and settle in areas are not occupied by Israel. More than 8 million have been forcibly kicked outside the country. And that paved the way of Israeli settlement in the occupied territories. Israel created a system of separation based on discrimination, establishing in the same region two separate justice systems in which human rights were determined according to his national affiliation. That is simply apartheid. If you're Palestine, you're charged in different way than if you are Israeli. Under this regime, thousands of acres were stolen from Palestinians. This stolen land were used to build dozens of settlements in the West Bank and settle hundreds of thousands of Israeli citizens there. The number of settlers in 2022 exceeded 750,000 settlers, which constitutes 7 times the number of that was the case in 1993 when Oslo was signed. Now, Israel prevents all Palestinians from entering and using this land and exploits the presence of these settlements to give legitimacy to a series of violations from both settlers and army. It carries out against the rights of Palestinians, including the rights of housing, the right to live, and the right to freedom of movement. And any violation committed by settlers against the Palestinian will be met with Israeli approval. I don't know if you saw the video not a while ago. One settler who took a lady's home, who was just justifying by saying that if I didn't take it, someone else will.
Yeah, that was in a US documentary on this cause, I think.
Yeah, and he just like the only thing that he was saying, like, if I don't take it, someone else will. So just go away. That's it. The extreme change made by Israel to the map of Palestine prevent any possibility of establishing an independent Palestinian state within the right of self-determination.
I'm sorry for interrupting you. Let us just go back a bit historically for those that are not, that don't know much about the history of Palestine and Israel. We know that the state of Israel was made in 1947 after the Second World War, in a place where the Palestinian people were already living. So if you could give us a short, a short overview, on the historical part, so that the people understand how we came to this condition that we are talking about.
Yeah, there's a lot of theories about this, but like bill for promises, about this one. Yeah, 1970. The main concept or the main idea. There's a lot of like big countries in the world, largest country in the world, have interest in this region. Have an interest in this region in a lot, and like after the end of the World War II, like they promised the Jewish to give them the Palestine. They lied. They say this is a land without people. This is completely, utterly not true, and this is like a false. I don't know how you can call it, but like this is it's stupid even to think about it. I mean, if you think about it in like theories, this is a land near the sea. There's no way they're not have people. So Palestine was a country, but because the largest countries in the world have interest in it, and like it's a way to make it easier. So they promise it to the Jewish. So they before promises, and then and also in 1948 they start occupying Palestine.
And since then, we have a constant discrimination from the side of the Israeli state.
Exactly, we have constantly like kicking out people from their home. There's something that called Nakba. Israeli committed horrible crimes against Palestinians. They displaced them and kicked them out of the country. They killed thousand of them, and then like they say we are peace. We are human, and we deserve peace between us, and like let's make peace between us.
Could you explain to those that will watch this interview? Could you give us a picture of the living conditions of the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank?
Okay. Like in Gaza, there's a siege, which is stifling siege imposed by Israel on Gaza Strip since 2006. The siege includes preventing or regulating the entry of fuel, electricity, and many goods, preventing deep sea fishing. Israeli also prevented the entry of medical materials, supplies, and devices to more than 2 million citizens who live under extremely difficult living conditions. The deficit in basic medicine reached more than 50%, including cancer and blood disease medicine. Closing the crossing between Gaza Strip and Israel, and they put pressure on Egypt to close the Rafah crossing. This is a crossing between Egypt and Israel and Gaza. Gaza only outlet to the outside world. This is Rafah crossing. They also completely demolished Gaza International Airport, the only airport in Gaza Strip, which increased the severity of siege and suffering. It is considered the largest open-air prison, and deteriorating condition of the citizen residents in the Gaza. Uh, it's only an attack on a human dignity. It's only I can call it an attack on human dignity. If all what you stated and all of what you stated, it's only the tip of the iceberg. And all that met with complete silence from the Western world and media. It is like, yeah, some people were killed by adorable, cute, innocent Israeli army, but like let's just forget about it. Have you seen Adriana's dress? This is figuratively how Western media have been treated with the crimes, with the killing of people and children and all that. Uh, that, in addition of gradual abandonment of other Arab governments, which began with the wave of normalization with Israel, like Egypt, Jordan, Emirat, Morocco, Sudan, all these countries have been normalized with Israel, and lately. Americans government have been playing a huge part of pushing Saudi Arabia to go down this path. Now, let me just state, you cannot possible to think. This is not possible to think. You can put people in this kind of inhumane condition, taking away all this right, all the freedom, and expect them to lay down and let you keep doing this to them. People will snap. That's exactly what happened a week ago.
I see.
Yeah.
Talking about the new phase of war that we are inside right now, could you tell us something about the opposing sides and the factions that are in and how they influence the course of the war?
Yeah, look, I know all of people like Western media call it like a terrorist attack and call it like attack on humanity, and they lied a lot. Like, I'm watching the Western media how they portray the news. It's all about they killing people, their babies beheaded, which is lie, by the way. And this is what I'm saying. We live in a post-truth world. This is exactly what I'm saying. It's not. It's a lie. And even now, the United States President Biden just said it the other day. I mean, there was a time where President of the United States, his speech was like he was studied. He was now it's all false. Yeah, he can come up and say like I saw a video of children beheaded, babies beheaded, and like after a while it's no, I didn't see it. I just trust the Israeli army when they say that. A lot of news, a lot of like like the largest newspaper in the whole world said lied about this. It is defensive. It is a defense movement. We have a land. We have to fight for it. This is exactly what happened. They started a resistance movement. They entered Palestinian land. By the way, it's a Palestinian land within international legitimacy, which Israel occupied and built Zionist settlement on them. And they capture a group of soldiers and some settlers and attack military sites. This is what they did. Yeah, and it's a war. But this is our land. This is outdated cliche. We have to stop this double standard nonsense. The way Israel responded proves what kind of monstrous occupation what we were dealing with. They violently attacked Gaza Strip, dropping them more than 6,000 tons of explosive, and even using an international banned white phosphorus bomb have been murdered. A lot of them are children and women, and more than 8,000 injured. Israel completely cut off electricity, water, and any type of fuel in Gaza, which means even if the attack stops, thousands will die from thirst, hunger, and their wound, since there's no energy to run the hospitals. They prevented The entry of any food supplies or medicine. They targeted humanitarian aid coming from Egypt. Hospitals were targeted, and entire neighborhood were whipped out. Even the Palestinians who left their home, according to the deadline given by Israeli, were targeted. And the ones will succeed fleeing, there's no hope for them to go back. They are working toward complete annihilation to Gaza Strip and the Palestinian presence in it. This is their dream. This is what they are working for. They are doing that with the approval of global imperialism, who call themselves protectors of humanity and barriers of freedom torch. This is really outdated cliche and double-standard nonsense, and it needs to stop now. How can the right of to self-defense be interpreted as terrorism when terrorism itself is self-defense? How can we say that when this is my land, I'm defending it, and I'm a terrorist? When someone occupied me and the land, and he's the hero. I'm sorry. This is so. It's nonsense. This is how can. And that's why we're here today. That's why I'm talking to you, and I'm so glad that I am, and I'm so happy that there are people like you in the world. We cannot keep a closed eye on what we are only on what we all only call it the most heinous crime against humanity in the 21st century. This is the worst. This is the worst crime in this century. We need to understand, and we need you to understand something. When you understand the extent of the suffering of Palestinian people and the crimes that are experienced under the ruthless occupation, whose goals and hope is to get rid of everything that is Palestinian and Arab. That is their goal. They wanted that. They are like they like the world is given permission to them to wipe out Gaza, because they want this land. They want it all for them. There's nothing called peace between Palestine and Israel. It's not possible. Not because we don't want it. It's okay for us because like if you look at it, we are kind like this is they are the strong one. They have the weapon. They have the word approval. They have everything, and like we're just trying to defend ourselves. So it's not even a balance about like the power.
For
It's
sure,
not.
the strength of on the Israeli side is much bigger. So could you tell us a bit more about the factions, about the groups that are fighting right now on the Palestinian side?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. Can you please repeat?
Whether you can tell us a bit more about the factions, the groups that are fighting right now on the Palestinian side. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that all the people are out there with guns fighting. There are armed groups, and I'm talking about these armed
Yeah.
groups.
Oh, you mean Hamas?
Yes, for example, and if there
Yeah.
are more involved right now.
Well, like right now, the news that we've been getting, it's Hamas who's fighting in Gaza, and it's like it's resistant movement who've been called terrorists. Like you know what? Like a lot of people don't like Hamas. Even Palestinian people don't like it. It doesn't matter if political views don't match with ours, but like at least anyone who can defend my land, anyone who can even give me a hope that this land is ours, it's going to go back to it's going to come back to us. I'm going to salute them. So Hamas is fighting. It's fighting in Gaza. Like attacks between Hezbollah and Israeli in Lebanon.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of. I mean, I think civilians, Palestinian civilians, who carries weapons. I'm not really sure. But, like that happened completely. Sorry. There's they cut off completely electricity and technology, telecoms in Gaza. So like we know that Hamas is fighting in Gaza. I don't know if there are other groups in there.
I see. Okay. Then I would have.
I'm sorry. There's jihad in West Bank. Yeah, there's jihad in West Bank and Gaza.
Can you tell me by whom the resisting movement is organized? If you are putting it, as a separate group.
It's a resisting movement, but I think Hamas started it a week ago. But now a lot of Palestinian groups are joining it.
I see.
I don't know if Hamas like is the leader of this movement.
One more question that I have is we know that there are a lot of Palestinian refugees in other Arab countries. Can you tell us something about their living conditions in these different countries?
Well, it differs. How can I say it? In Syria, it's good, kind of good. In Lebanon, I don't think it's really good because they were put in camps, and the living condition, it's not that much of like a high standard. But they are refugees, and how people treat refugees, and how like they are educated but poor. Yeah, most of them are educated but poor, and living in a low living standard.
I see. Okay. Then maybe the last question that I would have is what solution do you and your party see for this war?
Solutions, like fight. We have to fight. We keep fighting, and we have never to lose hope. This is our land. We have to fight for it. I know it's not like it is not equal between us and the other opposing parties, but like we have to keep fighting. Yeah, and like we have to keep fighting, and but we have to keep civilians, the innocent civilians, like innocent civilians in both parties should keeping safe in both parties, in Palestinian civilians and Israeli civilians. They have to keep them safe. It's not about like I'm not asking to keep like to fight civilians and to kill them. That's not what we want. We want peace, but we want our land back. Like we want to be yeah.
Because it's nice that you mentioned the civilians on both sides, because we as communists, we would say that both these civilians have the same basic interests.
Exactly, but we are tired of this double standard. Like we really are tired of it. Like it's all right to fight for civilians it's all right, and it's you have to do that. But like just look at civilians in Palestinian parties and Palestinians, and you have to look at them and see like how horrible this is the situation they live in, and like we need you to show full solidarity with Palestinian and its people, and like we need you to carry out with activities that pressure the governments to issue position that do justice to the Palestinian cause. Although the Russian position was acceptable so far, and we thank you for that. But we hope that the position is equivalent to the crime and the massacre that are occurring. And we also need to spread the truth. We need to do that, all of us, to all the people in everywhere. everywhere we can in the country, in the all the countries. Like there's a lot of people who really who really believes that Palestine are terrorists, and believes that it's a right to kill them. It's a right. There's no harm in that because they are terrorists. Like I saw a lot of videos about Israeli and people in Western Europe, in Western countries, were shouting about killing Arab, killing Palestinian, which is, I mean, seriously, we come to this far. We also need constantly try to give people hope that we stand with you. Like the civilian who are trying to escape, that we are with you, and it's alright to keep hoping on that.
Of course, and I totally agree with you on that. And I would even add that there's only one reason for the media to push this idea of the Palestinians all being terrorists in order to dehumanize the entire of your people, and to just portray them as an enemy that needs to be wiped out. And it's the same instrument that is used by the media in any kind of war conflict that is happening. And I think it's important to outline that the Israeli civilians, the Israeli workers, as the same way as the Palestinian workers, are in the core not enemies to each other, and that it's first of all the capitalist exploitation that must be overthrown so that we can finally make peace.
I hope so. I
Something
really do hope.
agree with.
Yeah, of course, I really do hope so that one day we can finally find peace in this horrible situation. But like, yeah, but like, I mean, the world is not giving us a chance to stand and say that.
Yes, and that's why we all over the world, at least we the communists, should stand for this. That
Yeah, I know.
our only
Thank you for.
I thank you for coming and for telling us about the situation. And I hope that this will somehow help in your struggle.
I really do hope so. And yeah, I really do hope so. And thank you for listening. Thank you for trying to seek the truth. Like this is really important for people to know that. It's important to be for people to know that there's a struggle. There's a real struggle. And as a human being, as a communist, as a human being, we have to fight for it. We have to stand with it.
So, thank you.
Thank you so much.